But I think some places also do the menu based on their capability. Like as much as like okay, even for my case, right? There might be a lot of things that I want to do, but I know like the capability of the space is only this much. I mean, you work in the kitchen, you know, like let's say like a ramen store. Notice how a ramen store only have like that much.
That much like what equipment or like the working space?
Yeah, working space or
Okay.
equipment, and then maybe they only have like 10 variations.
Yeah.
And 10's being quite luxurious already, because sometimes it's
For
like
ramen
chicken,
shop, yeah.
pork, spicy, not
Non
spicy,
spicy.
black garlic. It's like
Shoyu.
right.
Yeah.
It's just about that much, right? And it's like maybe like 10 variations, but that's all they do. At most like the gyoza and the karage, like a
For
fryer
the sides, yeah.
right? But
something namban.
like that's it, right? They don't do like, it's not going to pull one out and say I'm doing sushi now,
yeah.
because you need a whole new section for that, and that doesn't make sense. So I think it also comes down to the space of the shop and like what it can churn out. So like I feel like maybe on the topic of the like where I do research on that place is mainly for that, to see like, oh, like how big is the shop, to just know like what am I roughly expecting. Because if you go to like this ramen place, I forgot the name, it was at Tanjong Pagar, or like people know.
Yeah, most is at Tanjong Pagar,
But it's like 8-12 seater, it's just ramen or and some stuff but
The free boiled eggs.
I don't remember. Well, it was nice, but that's all they do, and fair enough. Like, I won't question.
I think most places generally, okay, not most places, but there'll be places where you already know what you're going for. Ramen. When you go to like Din Tai Fung, you know it's more or less fried rice, Chinese food,
Yeah, dumplings.
yeah. But most of the time it's usually the more generic establishments. Like if you go to a restaurant, even if let's say you go to a Greek restaurant, Greek food is like quite big, right?
Yeah.
It's quite wide. So that's where I will go and do a bit of research and say like, oh, okay, I know what I'm gonna eat tonight.
Actually, I think Italian food.
Italian, yeah,
Because you can like have some doing pastas only, and then some
pizzas only.
Yeah, and then like some pastas and meats even.
Yeah.
And then yeah. I think that one's the one that like can go everywhere.
Yeah, but I mean the part where you talk about what working space do you have to work with, I think that also comes into how you plan your menu as well, because like
Yeah, I think the segue is perfect.
Yeah, the segue is perfect. Like one of the things we think about when we are planning our menu is like what we have in our space where we can make something. Like if you don't have a deep fryer, you can't possibly do.
You can, it's just in the pot, and then you got
Yeah,
thing where you pour the
yeah,
hot
yeah.
oil after that, right?
Yeah, so like that's how you also kind of think about the operation after that, right?
Yeah.
But I think you have better insight to this onto how to plan your stuff according to your operation work.
Oh, well, so this topic is quite big. For me, like, I think planning has to be operationally sane. Like, I'll term it that way. Like, I think, like
Like you cannot be just can do. It's like you can do
do well, can do fast, can
Yeah,
do easy. Because you
convenient.
can't make customers wait also at the end of the day. Let's be realistic. Unless you know it's like something that can be whipped up in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think some people are okay for that. Especially when it comes down to desserts. After the meal already, you're like just waiting. That kind of thing I think is possible. But like for the food itself, I think it has to be quick. Or not quick, like relatively. Obviously a steak is not going to happen in 1 minute, right? Let's be honest. But you have to make something happen during that time. And equipment is one of the things that I really look at when in terms of planning. And equipment doesn't range from like just cooking equipment. Your storage capability,
Inventory, like you're saying.
your inventory, your plateware, cutlery. I think there's a lot of minute details that sometimes people don't go into thinking about. Like imagine if let's say you're a Western restaurant and you have fork and knife and spoon, right? And then all of a sudden one day you decide to serve ramen as a special, right? Do you have chopsticks? Right? If you don't, then don't, right? Like I'll save you the trouble and just
Don't
don't.
offend a lot of people.
Yeah, just don't. So I think this is what people usually have to consider. Like it comes
Okay.
down to detail of like, think about it as like how you like to eat it sensibly, and then how you think you should deliver it to the customer. I think that's a very smart way to go about, at least. Because like sometimes even like say if I go some places and like it's not, that's how they do it, but it's not up to me. Like I don't like it like that. Obviously discount that with, I mean the product is great, it's added bonus. But if it's not served the way that I think I would like it, then I think it's a bit of a negative
Do you
for
have
me.
an example?
I don't have anything that comes in mind. I mean, like the example like I told you earlier would be a scenario of sorts, you'll be like, what? Why am I eating ramen with fork and spoon?
Yeah. Okay.
Right? It's a bit whack, right?
Okay,
like,
okay, yeah.
You'll be like a bit like confused, bamboozled,
Yeah.
or sorts.
Because like if let's say you want to add that twist, it also has to sort of fit into the story, right? You cannot just like, oh, we think that eating a fork and spoon is nicer, but then like practically it's not really. It's only just because you don't have chopsticks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like this will link with, for example, sometimes people wonder when I order a protein, why they slice up my food for me, right? Yeah. So but this is also a tip on menu. It's like presenting your food itself, because like you recommend that your customers eat it slice by slice in this portion for the mouthfeel, whatever.
I mean, of course, you can like, I guess you can say like, oh, don't need cut up for me. Maybe I like it chunkier. Then that's fine. I think that's a request that can be done with. But like, I guess most, at least maybe here in Singapore, like I think we are very used to sharing plates style. So like when things are like chunks or like sliced, it's easier for people to like just pick and go.
Yeah. Going off that, because like I think we covered a bit of this like whole operation or like your workspace. This goes into your what you plan for your menu. We just touched on a bit like how it's being presented. I think I learned a bit from you where like everything on your plating matters. It's not just about making it look pretty. It's also like how you want your customer to eat it. I know this is not really menu planning, but it's more like your food presentation already. But it's still part of, because it's still components of your dish, right? Yeah. So I'm just wondering like what other things do you think about in this like segment of menu planning itself?
I mean, to be clear to just a bit of backstory. Here at Paraphrase, we do like a la carte and course menu. So for the a la carte, it's a bit more standard, more
classic,
like just normal, right? Like a la carte is like kind of like a day in day out kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like it should be fast free, not too overly complicated. But I think at the end of the day, the meal should be an enjoyable meal, and I think that's the priority. So flavors right for me. I think that's the most important thing. Then the second thing would be inventory management, ease of ops. Then comes your plating, and then like what we can do with, like as I mentioned across just now about the non-alcoholic, is also to balance your inventory. Like say if I use onions for this, I could also use onions for something else. But that's for the a la carte. For the course, it's more structured, more thought out, more storytelling, more there's a lot more thought process that goes behind. But I think it's at the end of the day what the message that you want to get across. Even sometimes when R&D dishes, there are hits and misses. Obviously people don't know I mean sometimes they do know the behind the scenes, but like the fact is that sometimes what you want to churn out can't come across as perfectly as you imagine. Maybe obviously I don't think I'm that skillful to be able to execute whatever I imagine in my head, but sometimes it's also about flavor pairings, like, and things that you can get to reproduce something. And also like I explained to you guys, like the things that I least expected to work sometimes end up being the best work. And you'll be like, oh, I only spent like 1 hour doing this, and whereas something else I took like 3 days to do something. So it just works out in a funny way sometimes. But I think best thing is always to get objective advice, because what you think might or might not work. And sometimes we all have very nice, good-hearted friends that
oh no, it's nice. It's
nice. You can throw them a curveball and ask them like, oh, what about
what's
it?
Nice
yeah,
about
what's
it,
nice?
right?
If they starter, they're nice friends, they're good friends, okay? But yeah, sometimes you just need people to tell you like, yo, this is not gonna work. And you may not see it from your point of view then, but like if you look back at it like after it's done, and you're like, but then again, some things are worth the risk as well. So it's really, really hard to say, and you might be able to prove people wrong or right. So there's many ways to go about, but you can't go always like super just hit in and then like figure out from there. But always plan with the thought process of I mean there are people that you work around with, so also to execute something that can be done within the team's mean or something like that.